Hello, I'm Ralph Sevenor. Welcome to the Builders of the Alarm Industry. Today is August 7th, 2003. Special thanks to the Honeywell Security Group and Ron Rothman, president of Ademco, that has graciously provided their time, studio, and support in this project. This is a cooperative effort on behalf of NBFAA, National Burglar and Fire Alarm Association, SIA, Security Industry Association, and CSAA, Central Station Alarm Association, through the AIR Foundation. I'm delighted to introduce an old friend of mine, someone I've looked up for many, many years, Leo Guthart. He's got now 43 years of alarm experience.
That's right.
And done so much for the industry. And I'd like to turn it over to my partner in this project, Charlie Darsh. Charlie, could I ask you to open it up and ask the first question?
Thanks, Ralph. Leo, we've known each other for many, many years. We've served on many committees together. We've both been allied in many ways.
Right, Charlie.
I'm rather curious as to how you did get into the industry.
It's an interesting story. It goes back to 1961 or 1962. I was a graduate student at Harvard Business School, actually, and also running a motel at the same time. And I had met a businessman from Chicago named Irving Harris, who was is a very good guy. And he wanted to hire me. And I thanked him, but I said, look, I'm involved teaching here at the school and doing what I'm doing, and I think that I'm not ready yet. And he suggested that we start working together a day here, a week there. And I learned about a company that he controlled called the Pittsburgh Railways Company. And Pittsburgh Railways Company ran the trolley and bus lines in the city of Pittsburgh. It was having troubles. It was generating tax losses and cash, but it was being competed with by lots of independent bus companies. And the Harris people felt that they should diversify this company by acquiring profitable companies to utilize the tax losses. So the goal, Irving's goal, was let's buy some good companies that make money and that have good prospects. And I started working for him and with him on a part-time basis while I was a faculty member, visiting some companies and seeing which ones were good, which ones weren't. And one of the first ones that I got involved with was Ademco. I made a trip from Boston down to Long Island one day, and I met Nat Verger, who had built this very great but tiny little company. And I was impressed by Nat. I was impressed by the industry. I thought there was a good future here. And that led to Pittsburgh Railways Company acquiring Ademco. It led to my deciding to leave Cambridge and to move down to New York, where I'd come from, and to start working with Nat at Ademco. And that was my introduction to the alarm industry, and I believe that it happened in 1963.
What would you consider the most significant event or events that you have seen in the alarm industry?
Well, I guess I would look at it from a technology point of view. I think that I remember the first systems that I saw, which were dry cell battery powered, operating World War II surplus relays and ringing bells outside of commercial establishments. Mechanical devices that opened and closed when the doors or windows they were protecting, opening and closing, and this is a very primitive electromechanical system, and yet that was the basis of the alarm industry at that time. Clearly by today, all of the technology that's developed in the world around us has been brought to bear on the security problem and on the problem of designing the products that we sell and make. So it's just enormous to me, the capability that today's equipment has vis-a-vis anything it had at the time I entered the industry or anything that it had 20 years after I had entered the industry. I remember when I had my first cell phone. It was about the size of a brick. Compare that to what we have today, and I think the parallel is quite clear, let's say, in terms of the wireless equipment that the industry has today versus the very primitive garage door stuff of 25 years ago. So my overall answer would be the huge development in technology that's allowed us to do so much more. Video, access control, the whole areas of RFID, and the integration of our products into the broader scheme of things in society and in industry. I would say technology.
Leo, what great memories might you have, either something that you personally were involved with, the company or the industry? What great memories in this time frame that you've been in the industry? What is there that you can remember that has probably made an impact?
Charlie, that's one that I often think about. And I've come down to what were the two greatest memories that I have among many, many great memories. But there are two specific instances that just hit me right in the eye. One of them is pretty simple to explain. It's the day that we learned that ADT had selected us to be their across-the-board supplier.
What year was that, Leo?
Oh, 1996, I'm guessing. Around then. I'd have to check. But we'd worked quite hard, and we'd always been a supplier to ADT of various types of equipment over the years, but our goal was always to be the across-the-board supplier of their control equipment. We'd been very successful in the industry generally, but ADT was a clear goal for us, and the day we learned that we'd been selected and they were going to move all their products to us, it was one of the great days in my time at Ademco. A second great memory, and in some ways related to the first one, has to do with the suit that ITI filed against us for patent infringement. And I would speculate that after ADT selected us, and one of the suppliers that lost that business was ITI, that the patent suit that they lodged got much more active. This all culminated in a terrible day where before a jury in St. Paul, we were told that we were a $41 million loser in the patent suit to ITI. That was probably the worst day in my years in the alarm industry. We then engaged right across our company in a huge attempt to get this verdict overturned when it was reviewed by the Circuit Court of Appeals in Washington. Patent suits are normally, can be appealed to the highest court in the land, which is the Washington Circuit Court, and we did so. And that was the best day, I would say. One of the really great memories of my career was when we learned that the Circuit Court in Washington had unanimously overturned this jury decision in St. Paul, and we were judged not to be an infringer of that patent. That was a terrific day.
If you were made Person of the Decade, what is the one thing you would like to let the audience know about your accomplishments in the alarm industry?
I guess I could answer that maybe in two levels, Ralph. I think on an industry level, one of the great accomplishments of the industry, and I was a part of it, was when we were successful in getting the Telecom Act to reflect the fact that the alarm industry could not be directly competed with by the telephone companies. I think most of us know that this was a great threat, or we felt it was a great threat at the time, and many, many people in the industry worked very hard to get that legislation passed as favorably as it could to our position. While I think we may have over-exaggerated, looking back on it, the threat of the phone company, maybe we did, maybe we didn't, it's hard to say. When we learned that we had been successful in getting the legislation to reflect our position, was certainly an important day for me and for many of us. On a more personal level, we engaged in the period, let's say, from 1985 to 1995 in the complete redesign and rethinking of our product line. We changed our product line in almost every respect. We made it as user-friendly as we could. We tried to clearly involve the user's lifestyle in our consideration of how this product would be designed. We tried to design it in a way that the installation companies could be more profitable using it. We tried to take advantage of every possible new technology that we could. We tried to marry wireless and wire technology. We tried to do things in English language rather than in blinking lights. We tried to change the face of what that entire product line was. And as part of that, as part of the delivery of that new product line and what we felt new concept to the industry, we engaged in a multi-year series of rollouts in the industry. We call them rollouts. And the rollout involved a team of executives from our company. It was usually me and our VP of sales, and it was sometimes Roger Fraden along with, I think it was Ken Weinstein. And one of our teams would go to a city, and we would try to talk to as many of our customer base as we possibly could in person. We invited them to this event, and at this event we would typically have 300 people or so, and we tried to convey to them and then to learn from them. Convey to them what we were trying to do, and then to learn from them what their reaction to what we were trying to do was, so that we could go back and do it better. And I would guess that over a period of 3 or 4 years, we did probably 100 of these rollout sessions. 100 times 300 is 30,000 people that we talked to. It was a tremendous experience for me. It got me out into the grassroots of our industry, meeting our customers, listening to what they had to say in cities around the United States. I learned a huge amount from it, and I think that our company was able to get a very clear message from repeated exposure to the rollouts as to what we were really trying to do, what our goals were, and I think the whole organization was able to assimilate this better as a result of this program, and hence be more unified in presenting this whole message to the industry. So that's the one that I would think about a lot.
Leo, in all the years that you were with Ademco and are with Ademco, the time that you spent, you must have some story of something that really would come to mind, something that we would enjoy hearing, some anecdotal or some comical story that you might have in your background.
There is a funny story, Charlie. I guess it goes back to Morris Coleman. Morris Coleman was the founder of Ademco. I think he founded Ademco in 1929. And he stayed at Ademco until his death, which was probably in 1999 or somewhere around there. So I guess Morris probably had 60 years or thereabouts, 60, 70 years or thereabouts in the alarm industry, probably more than anybody else in the whole industry. And Morris was a terrific guy and a great character, and I think all of us who worked with him kind of loved him. He was somebody you could go to for advice. He was funny, he was insightful, he was a gentleman, he was very bright. And the funny story relates to somewhere in the late 1990s. Morris unfortunately had a stroke. And he was taken to a local hospital, and luckily it was not a bad stroke, and he recovered, and he worked at the company for a number of years after the stroke. But he had a great sense of humor. When they were checking him out in the hospital, they said, doctor said to him, could you tell us your name? He said, yes, my name is Morris Coleman. Can you tell me what day it is? They were trying to find out the level of his impairment. He said, well, it's Thursday. Can you tell us who the president is? Morris looked at him and he said, Leo Guthart. Morris was a great guy,
Yeah.
and it's a funny story. We all missed him a great deal.
Are we making progress in the reduction of false alarms in the industry?
With Charlie and Ralph, I am very involved still in the false alarm fight. I'm chairman of SIAC, which is sort of a industry-wide group that's trying to captain the whole effort. And I think that we are making great progress. I think that if we look at statistics, we see that the number of systems that are being installed goes up and up and up, and probably the absolute number of false alarms remains the same or slightly lower. So hence, the percentage of false alarm incidents is declining, which is a good thing. I think we need to take the false alarm problem in a broader perspective. If we can really beat the false alarm problem, it's more than just eliminating false alarms. It means that we're providing a better service right across the board, because you don't just beat false alarms by knocking false alarms down. The goal is probably a broader one than that. If you run your business better, you will have less false alarms. And if you run your business better, you'll be doing everything better, not just knocking false alarms down. So false alarm reduction is extremely important. It's the one serious vulnerability that I see to the industry. If someone said to me, what do you worry about the most that could be catastrophic to the industry as we know it, I would say the false alarm problem. I would say, yes, we're making progress on false alarms, but I would urge people to think about the false alarm problem in terms of the overall quality of the way the industry operates, with the idea in mind that a well-run, high-quality operation not only has fewer and fewer false alarms, but delivers all of its services better, and the services that it does deliver are of a much higher quality and broader utilization.
Leo, if I can drill down on that question perhaps. One is, A, do you believe in that 80-20 rule, the 90-10 rule, that 10% are causing 90% of the problems? And B is, how do we get that message down? Because what I'm generally hearing is, it's not my problem, it's someone else's problem, whether it's blaming it to the consumer or the product. So what's your analysis on that?
Ralph, I do agree that the 80-20 rule appears to apply very well to the false alarm problem, and I do agree that it's user error. Even myself, in the operation of my own system, I don't have false alarms from my system. I have false alarms from me or my family. So yes, the 80-20 rule is very important. How do we get the message down is the central problem we face in SIAC today. There are a number of people who really care about the problem, and you're absolutely right, Ralph, that there are many people in this industry who say it's just not my problem and they don't do anything about it, and the cumulative effect of those people is a serious negative to the business. I don't have a magical answer as to how we get this information out any better. We keep trying. We have a marketing and public relations activity now going on within SIAC that's aimed at this. I think that Honeywell, among others, is trying to take a more active role in helping SIAC to disseminate information to the alarm industry. But I don't think there's a magic answer. I think we need to keep plugging away at it. And hopefully over time we will get this message down. It's the cumulative effect of ordinances that we promulgate, of training that we do within the industry, of upgrading the talent in the industry, which goes on regularly. And I think the cumulative effect of all of that is the answer to the problem.
And congratulations on all the accomplishments SEAC has made as of recently. So I think the tide has turned and the message is getting out there. So it's certainly a positive thing.
Thank you.
Any last thoughts you'd want to share?
I think I said it.
Well, thanks very much for
Thank
coming.
you.
We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.